Did you know that at least 40% of persons return to shelter within a year of transitioning into housing? This number is actually underreported because it doesn't include those persons that live on the street or couch surf. It only represents those that re-enter into the shelters. This is where I've developed Transition Aid Peer Mentorship, designed to reduce homeless shelter re-entry. Housing breakdown happens for a number of reasons. Sometimes it is due to the person not being equipped with the independent living skills, or knowing anyone in an unfamiliar community that they're expected to know how to navigate. Or they're experiencing isolation that can lead to depression and anxiety, which in turn becomes maladaptive and they eventually lose their housing. One or a combination of these factors results in continuous cycles of homelessness. Transition Aid Peer Mentorship will help recently housed individuals to maintain permanent and stable housing with the help of a peer mentor in the community whose job it is to teach skills such as money management, how to be a good neighbor, how to become involved in their community, whether it be through volunteering, working, utilizing their nearby community center or place of worship, and how to balance their time meaningfully while meeting the responsibilities and practicing self-care. Once the newly housed individual leaves the shelter, it will be the peer mentor's role to assist as needed. As time progresses, the recently housed individual will rely on their mentor less as they've gradually become independent over time. Peer mentors will be persons with lived experience of homelessness and have successfully maintained their housing for at least 1 year, and of course, be paid for their work. Prior to an individual moving out of the shelter and onto independent living, a social worker will conduct an assessment with the person to identify where their strengths and needs are and communicate that in a meet and greet session involving the social worker, peer mentor, and the person eventually moving out. Monthly evaluations will be conducted with everyone involved to assess their progress and gauge how much longer the person will require Transition Aid Peer Mentorship, as the goal is to maintain permanent housing independently. Transition Aid Peer Mentorship will foster personal growth, independence, social networking, and community building, so there is a reduced dependence on shelter support services. Funding for Transition Aid Peer Mentorship will first come from a charity such as United Way, and after running the program for a year, success will be measured in the number of persons who continue to be peer mentors to recently housed folks, and if the re-entry into the shelter system has fallen below 40%. Since Toronto shelters are always at capacity year-round, Transition Aid Peer Mentorship will help reduce the cost and use of other resources associated with the shelter system, such as healthcare. Lastly, if it is successful and becomes adopted by other shelters across Ontario, then the provincial government can be the leading funder to maintain sustainability and benefit from the social return on investment.
Created using Powtoon.